Hey, what's up? I don't know why I'm losing my voice again. I woke up and my voice was disappearing from me. So I don't know what happened, but we are going to get through this. I'm going to try to drink me some tea. I don't know why I keep losing my voice randomly. It's just so weird. But, anyways, I'm drinking some water. So let's talk about this topic that's going viral on Facebook. So, a person by the name of Tony Clyde, they put up a thread that says, "A man who ran track for 3 years as a man can change himself into a transgender woman to compete with women and win the 2019 Women Indoor Track and Field Championship." So, in this thread, there was a lot of people going back and forth about whether or not a transgender person should be able to compete against women in sports where they are being held by natural born women competing and everything like that. And so I wanted to bring this to my platform to have this discussion. I have a large majority of followers who are straight. I have a large majority of followers who are gay. I have a large majority who are trans and, different parts of the LGBT. I think oftentimes when we have these discussions and you have people who have disagreements, they feel like if you disagree with a part of their community, that you are dissing them. Like you have to agree with all or you don't support them. You have to agree with every single thing they do or else you're homophobic, you're transphobic. Or if you don't agree with every single thing they do, then they put all of these words of phobias against you and all of these things, and they try to make it seem like you hate people, and it's just a mess. And so even before I started, there was a guy by the name of Sergio. I hadn't even given my opinion, but before I even started the stream, he's talking crap, and his name is Sergio Diaz. I'm assuming he's a man. Talking about, Neek, I'm blocking you from my recommendations. Look at who follows you. I'm disgusted by you as a person who fight for BLM. You truly disgust me. Why do I disgust you? Because I'm speaking about a conversation that probably we should be having. Like, I don't understand why. And this is also a conversation that I seen on Facebook, which prompted me to have this conversation. So, anyways, before I get into all of that, I'm gonna go through this thread. So, like I said, on the front it says, "A man who ran track for 3 years as a man can change himself into a transgender woman to compete with women and win the 2019 Indoor Track and Field Championship." And so it says, CC Telfer, born a man but chooses to compete against women in the NCAA track, has taken a first place victory away from women in the past 6 meets. The NE10's Women Most Outstanding Track Performer, CC would win women's national championships. Okay. And then this is CC right here, where CC has beat out the women and won the first place prize in the championship. I'm trying to make it bigger, but it's only getting smaller for some reason. Let me try to make it bigger. And so, me as a woman, I have a friend that is very near and dear to me, very close to me, who I have a lot of love for and respect, that is trans. And I think that people think that if you disagree with certain parts of it, that you don't have love and respect for trans. You can support trans, but you can also understand the biology of a man, how a man is born, and know that men are naturally born stronger and faster than women. So if you are naturally born stronger than women, faster than women, it's not a diss to the trans community to think that this might be a space that we can support and love you, but this is a space that should be reserved for you to compete, I think, with other trans. I think that if you are trans, I think that there should be spaces available for everybody. I feel like there should be natural born women competitions. I feel like there should be natural born men competitions. And I feel like there should be a space for trans in sports to compete against other trans. Being that biologically men are naturally born stronger and faster than women, I do not think that it's fair for somebody to live their life as a man, compete with men for 3 years, and then change into a woman and then go and compete against women. I don't think that that's fair, but that doesn't mean that you don't love trans or you're not in support of trans or that you hate trans. It's just the simple fact that I think that these spaces should be reserved for other trans people to compete against one another. That's just what it means. So I think that they should definitely have their own category. It should not be, you know, blended, in my opinion. I just don't think so. I think a lot of times when we have these conversations and when I've seen, trans have these conversations, it comes to a point where they kind of want to erase the transition. We can't erase that a transition happened. We can't erase that we're biologically made differently. We can't erase that from we can't erase that. Like, you were born how you were born, and there was a transition that happened. So those spaces should be for the same type of individuals. There was a person on Facebook, and so one of my Facebook friends had shared this thread, and under the comments was a woman who said, "I don't understand why anyone cares about this woman. Besides being anti-transgender, this is also just sexist because people being mad that she's winning suggests that they think women can't be better runners than men. And that's dumb as F." And so a person responded and said, "I'm all for transitioning and being proud of being transgender, but her competing with girls born with estrogen is not fair. Her entire genetic makeup is different. Women cannot beat men in certain sports, especially something like track and field. Be realistic." So this person replied and said, "You can't be in support of her being trans and not support her being treated like a woman in her daily life." First of all, I'm going to stop right there. You can absolutely be in support of her being trans, but you can also be logical in knowing that the genetic makeup is totally different, that you're faster, that you're stronger, and that you are biologically made different. You can absolutely be in support of trans, be in support of them being treated fairly. You can be in support of, them living life as normally as possible, getting regular jobs and not being, positions to, be only sex workers and things like that. You can be in support of trans, but you can also be logical in understanding biology. So this person says, "You can't be in support of trans and not support her being treated like a woman in her daily life. If a woman transitioned to male and did this, would it be an issue? Estrogen is in the males too, and it doesn't affect how fast you can run." So I seen that and I'm like, what? So I wanted to bring this conversation to you guys. And I wanted you guys to weigh in on this topic. I put the StreamYard link in the chat. Normally I don't, but conversations like this, I want to hear what you guys think about it. And again, I have a trans friend that I talk to every single day. That is one of my favorite people in the whole wide world right now. Like, that's my favorite person that I talk to every single day. But I'm not going to act like I don't understand biology, and I'm not going to not view how I feel, and I'm not going to be pinned to feel like I'm being hateful because I think that the spaces should be different in these competition, in these competitive sports. Like, I'm not going to allow society to make me feel like I have a phobia against somebody because I think that it's unfair to compete. I just don't don't agree. And I don't agree with erasing that a transition happened. Like I'm not in agreements with that. And I don't like I just don't agree. Um so let me see what some of you guys says. You don't have to be on camera to come and voice your opinion on this topic. You can just click the StreamYard link, come on and tell me what you think about it. Somebody says there are ways to change physical strength, whether you think it's a joke or not. There are procedures to change people's. I don't know where you're going with that. Um, right. Men are bigger, stronger, and faster. Like, period. Let me see. Let's see. Somebody said, yes, it's unfair, but we are finally winning. I'm not sure if that's probably someone who's trans. Someone said, so basic, you're so right. And this has been planned for many years. And a couple books speak to this such as the destruction. Oh, okay. I don't know what you're talking about. Somebody said this is a direct side effect of Democrats running all of their agendas. Someone says we all have testosterone, even us natural born women, but we don't have it in the same amount that males do. Even if you transition and get breast implants and surgery, your DNA is still male. And then someone says they are much stronger. Another person says in one prison they housed a trans with women and he beat the brakes off a woman. They usually have their own units in prison. Um, And then Shakir says it has to be an even playing field. Okay. I know. I don't know what happened. I woke up this morning and I started to feel like I was losing my voice out of nowhere. So I don't know how I don't know what the heck. But So Basic says, y'all are making wait. Y'all are making this a political thing. Scientifically, it's possible for a trans woman to have the strength of a woman. What? I don't know what's So Basic. I did drink some tea. I did I did drink some tea this morning. I'm gonna drink some more. But you said I like it. You sound sensual and mysterious. I don't like it. I want my voice back. Um But yeah, so I just wanted to bring that conversation really quick and get you guys' opinion on what you think. To the trans women out there, this does not mean that, we love you any less. It's just biologically, I just don't think that it's fair to compete in these spaces because your genetic makeup is different. You were, born different. And I don't think that taking pills is going like you still are stronger and faster and things like that. So I just don't agree. But that doesn't mean that I'm hateful. Like people will try to paint, they'll say, oh, you hate people, oh, you're phobia, you oh this, oh that. No, I just think that there should be spaces exclusively for trans, just like I feel like there should be spaces exclusively for natural born women, and there should be spaces exclusively for men and trans men and so on and so forth. Like that's just what I think. And I just think that that's fair. So on that note, I will exit, but there was a lot of comments under this thread. So many people weighing in and giving their opinion on this topic. So if you go to this Tony Clyde person, you'll see this thread and you'll see what people are saying. This person says, I identify as a horse, so now I can compete in horse races. Um, Someone says couldn't beat real men in a race, so you went against women stealing championships from real women that worked hard. Okay. Um, and then there are people saying that there are more important things to worry about. Okay. So I just wanted to talk about this with you guys. Let me know what you guys think. Oh, Nunu Sky. Hey,
Hey,
how are
so
you?
I good morning, love. Last night's show had me dying. Okay. Oh my God. But good morning, chat room. Good morning, Nick. One more day to your birthday.
I know it's tomorrow.
Okay. I've been waiting for this for a long time. I have ran track pretty much my entire life. I started with the LA Jets, then I went to run for Audubon High. So I've been with the I just I'm on the fence about this because I witnessed it firsthand, and I just they are good competitors, and they do a lot, because it's like before they even passed the law, like my coach was going to get fired for saying no. Like the schools don't have anything that says that they can't race. There's nothing in place that says that they can't be a cheerleader, that they can't be on our sports, that they can't play volleyball with us. Like it's nothing there that says that they can't. Like when the schools was created and they made their laws, they didn't really put that in there. So the parents would have an argument like, well, the rules don't say that my daughter can't run. And my coach is like, but your daughter is not a daughter. Like he is welcome to run with the men. And it was a big thing. Like three, four of our practices, like three or four of our main games got canceled. We were supposed to run against Crenshaw. Crenshaw would not run against us. Manual Arts would not run against us. Like it was a big thing. And it never got resolved because our coach would just not, he would not allow it. Like, I don't understand why you want to run with them. Just run with the guys. And at the time his name was Peaches, and he just kept saying like, I'm not a man, why do I have to run with the boys? Like I don't understand. Like, and he's
Yeah.
like, you do understand, you understand well, like you know exactly what's going on. But I just think he was older, like he came from an older generation where like they don't really understand the development of trans, gay, lesbian, like everything that it has evolved into. So he just treated it as if like you're just gay. There is no there's no trance in that. You're a man that just very ignorant, and it hurt us because we couldn't run because she's on our team and you're not letting her run, so we're forfeiting pretty much every game. And then when we show up with her, other teams wouldn't get on the field neither. So it was just like very complicated, very weird, very nasty. People start taking sides at school, like people start dropping out of the track team because it wasn't fun anymore. It became really stressful. It became either you're with her or you're not. Do you agree with the lifestyle? And it's a lot for high school kids. That is a lot to deal with when you have to do your homework, be, keep your homework and grades up just to get on the track team. Then when you get on the track team, you have to do all this practicing. You have to watch what you eat. You have to do weigh-ins. You have to spend all this money. You have to do cross country to get your speed up so that you can see what everybody else team look like. And you do all that, and you can't even run because they're fighting over a whole other student. Like, I don't know if this is the right thing to do. I just, I don't know. Talking about this just brings back like the 15-year-old me, like just stuck. Like, I don't know what's right. I don't know what's wrong because like Peaches wasn't manly.
Mhm.
Peaches was
I mean that even if you're not
skinny.
manly, still Peaches was still stronger, and I'm
Yes.
probably sure
Yes.
faster than you guys. You don't have to be
Yes.
quote unquote manly. The biology of the genetic makeup automatically made Peaches stronger and faster than you. Like you didn't like Peaches didn't have to be quote unquote manly, but I'm sure Peaches ran faster than y'all. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to
Oh,
be
she
manly.
broke our high school record, and they wouldn't give it to her.
Yeah.
Like as soon as she did it, and like they didn't take a picture of it, like nothing. And still today, it's the same woman. It's not even Peaches, but I witnessed her do it. Everybody else did too, and they still didn't give it to her because it's like we don't have a rule that say you can't do it, but we're not gonna do it because since there's no rule, then we don't have to do anything. Like they played on that a lot. So I think like with them passing this law, I don't know if it's gonna go all the way up to the Olympics because the Olympics is something else, boy. They got rules outside of this world. They got rules that don't even make no sense. It's still in order. So I don't know what they're gonna do. But as far as high school, college, elementary, junior high, they're gonna start like you're gonna see more and more and more trends trying out, getting on a team, running, and pretty much taking over. I mean, it's a sad thing to see because I understand that we have. I don't want to say we have to share our spaces with them, but it's coming to a point where if we don't openly invite them in, they're just going to push their way in anyway. So I don't know. Like I stopped running in college because
Yeah.
I couldn't keep up with my academics and do it at the same time. So, oh my God, I knew this was going to come back. I knew that it was never going to like leave because it was
I'm gonna tell you
such.
to pause for a second. Let me hear from JC.
Oh, okay.
Yes. How you doing, Nick? Happy birthday. It's not
It's
yet, but tomorrow.
tomorrow, but thank you.
No, with this whole thing, it's a very nuanced kind of question, so it's not like one answer fits for everything. But the issue I have with it is if it was no difference, if it was there's no difference between men and women, then you would have the same amount of trans men trying to jump into male sports at the same time. We
Yeah.
don't hear we don't hear trans jumping into the NFL or the NBA or UFC on the men's side at least, because they know there's a difference and they can't compete there.
Yeah.
It's it's kind of like that MMA fighter who broke a woman's skull because he decided to transition and join into the females league. It's just sometimes it's not the same. And if it's not the same, then if it's all the same, what's the point of having women's sports in general? You might as well just throw them in with the men.
Right. I agree. And I feel like if that was the case, if there was no difference, then men and women would have been on teams from the beginning. Like we would all have been. It wouldn't have been a difference between men and women playing.
No, and I think I don't know if this is the intention, but I think women's sports is made so women have their own space to shine and to have their own records, to have their own all their stuff recognized. So again, why can't trans have their own league? I'm not saying. I mean, I know it's not like a lot of people right now, so it's going to start small, but you got to start somewhere. You can't just jump into somebody else's league and expect it to be a happy transition thing because everybody isn't happy for you the way you are.
Yeah,
And
I just think that it should definitely be separate. I feel like there's enough to have separate leagues because this conversation has been coming up for a while. So I'm almost certain that there is enough to have a separate league. And then once, like you said, once it starts, more people will be inspired to, compete and be a part of these leagues as well.
and it comes into bigger conversations, not just about sports, but like a lot of times this LGBT issues, it's like it may not be it's a hate thing, it's just you're invading someone else's space who's that space been that person's for I don't know however many years. And then you come in and expect everybody just to be happy for you when it's not the case all the time. Like the lady, the previous caller, her friend Peaches. I can respect Peaches' journey and his, him doing all that all he wants, but that doesn't make it fair for the other athletes who are just trying to run track.
Yeah.
Because
What do
Peaches
you
wanted to
think?
prove a point. Now everybody else has to suffer. I'm not saying it's right, but two sides of it all.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey, what are your thoughts?
hey. My thoughts are is that I agree with you and the gentleman. They need their own league. Um, simply trying to erase women is the agenda, because women have their own identity. They are called trans women. They're trans, meaning that they transition. So they should be either competing with men because that's who they were born as, even though they identify as the opposite gender or the opposite sex, but they were born as men. That should be the field that they compete in, or they need their own league opposed to trying to erase women. And it seems like that's what society is pushing, because, they're putting trans in a lot of spaces and positions and identifying them as women. And they're taking spaces that women would have normally had or held. But, to me, it just seems like an agenda. And it's like they're forcing their way or forcing their ideology or their thoughts on us. They're forcing down our throats that they are women, even though they were not born as women, and they identify as women, even though they still have their male parts and they still have their male makeup. Because regardless of what the doctors are able to do, they can't change how God created you. Your organs, your makeup is completely different from women. And it sucks that we're at this point, but I think that, we as society, we as women, we have to find a way to speak up, step up, and try and get things changed before they take over and completely invade all of our spaces. Because already with the sharing the bathroom, now in competing in sports, I mean, it seems like they're continuously evolving to a point of where we're not going to have any say so. We're going to be forced to accept them being identified and being women and being in the same spaces as us. Just like they had an issue with the whole the Black Girls Rock, and they were upset with BET for not having trans women there because they feel like they are women. They're trying to take all of the spaces where women are being recognized in situations. So it's like we don't have an identity for ourselves. The biological women, we don't have that no more because the trans women are trying to take over that.
Okay. My
I'm
voice
sorry,
is
Neek.
going.
Real quick,
Um,
I'm sorry to piggyback off of her real quick. A lot of times too, when these athletes transition, they were mediocre athletes in men's sports, but then when they transition to the female sports, they start dominating. So I just want to say that too. Sorry.
Okay. If there are any trans people who want to speak on this topic, my friend just clicked text me like, well, I'm about to get y'all together. Well, click the link, bitch. Okay. But my opinion is gonna still be the same. Um, my opinion is still gonna be the same. And it's no malice to trans, it's no hate towards trans, it's no less love, but there should be separate spaces as far as these competitions. That's just how I feel. Now it's time for a message from my sponsor, and my sponsor being myself, neekatnight.com. Check the link in the description to find all the cute goodies I have available on my website. I have these cool, super cute, comfy house shoes available and some new super cute pajamas, but these house shoes won't last long because Valentine's is coming up, so get yours while they are in stock ASAP. All right, Lawanda.
Hey, Neat.
Hey.
I feel like this has been like a long time coming because I remember a couple years ago when Caitlyn Jenner first came out and they made him like Woman of the Year, like 6 months after he came out. And I feel like it's super disrespectful to us as women. Like, we don't have our own, can we have anything? Can we have our own something? It's just not it's common sense. Like, the men are stronger than us, they're faster than us, their DNA makeup is, different than ours, but then we're competing in events together. Like that's not cool. And it reminds me of the MMA fighter that was fighting a transgender, and he cracked that woman's skull. Like, because we should not be in the same spaces competing when it comes to physical sports. It just shouldn't be. And that doesn't mean that I don't respect them or that I don't, root for them when it's time to root for them. It just means that we want our own space. We need our own space, and it's unfair for them to invade everything. Like,
All right.
it's just unfair to
Vixen Monroe.
women.
Monroe.
Hey, good morning, Nick. How you guys doing?
Hey.
I was gonna say I agree with you. I agree with you, ma'am. I was gonna say the same thing. They do not, regardless of. I seen somebody say something about um when we're born with estrogen and they take estrogen. It's still a difference. If you have to put something in your body to make you something different than you were born with, I don't think it's gonna equal out. I still think that I support transgenders. I support anybody who wants to be who they are. I don't disagree with anybody doing what they want to do. However, I feel like it should not be intermixed with real women. That lady did break that lady's head. I'm gonna call them what they want to be called. So I call them she if she wants to be called she. I call women he if they want to be called he. But I seen the damage that was done to that woman while they were in that match, and it's just not fair. They're gonna always run faster. They're gonna always be able to lift more. They're gonna always be able to outdo us. So I just don't think that is fair. Period.
All
Breaks
right.
my
Get
heart
lit.
to see what's going on.
Get lit.
Yes, hello. I was gonna say the same thing that she spoke on about the boxer that ended up getting her head broken, or I don't know, she ended up in a coma or something. Um, when they're actually born a man, even though they do take what is it, estrogen, they still are producing testosterone as well. So they're always gonna have a one up, and that's not fair, on a woman to woman sport. Period.
Okay.
That's all I had to
Um,
say. I mean,
News guy.
I
Can
would.
I just say one more thing? Can I just say one more thing, Nick?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, ma'am. I just wanted to say, and I see it the same way, the opposite way as well. If anybody wants to address that, I don't think that women that are transitioning to males should participate in male sports either. It still wouldn't be fair because a man will break her head as well. And I don't think that it will be allowed. I've never seen it before. And I don't think that if it was the opposite way, it would be supported or be allowed the way that it's being allowed for males to jump into our sports. I'm sorry, that's all I wanted to add.
Okay. Hold on. My friend. I'm trying to hold on. Wait a minute. Oh, go ahead. Somebody else can go in the meantime.
I just wanted to say that everybody is correct in how they feel, but you guys also have to remember that there are no rules that say that these people can't be on these teams. That is the problem. If we want to change anything, you need to go to your local schools and you need to talk to the sports department. You need to voice your opinion. You need to make sure that the principal is there, that the whoever's in charge of making those type of rules up, you need to get those rules enforced. If you really don't want your daughter to run against a transgender, the rules need to be in place to stop it because right now, in this day and time, I was just in high school not 10 years ago. There's still nothing that stops them from running on our team. It stopped nothing. Nothing can stop them from trying out. Nothing can stop them from getting on the team, buying the uniform, and coming to play. That is the problem. We don't have anything that protects us from them coming in.
All right.
That's all.
Nita Amore.
I want to respond to the woman that was just speaking. Do you think that if we go to the schools and try to say something about it, do you think they'll be seen as transphobic? Because I feel like today a lot of things are seen as phobic this, phobic that. So that's probably the reason why they don't have these rules in place yet. I don't know. I just want to know what you think about it.
No, because as soon as she got accepted and went to go get her uniform, There were like 10 different parents there. What's going on? My child is telling me that there's a man on the team. Why is there a man on the team? And when we had a school meeting, they clearly went over the rules, and there's nothing stopping them from joining the team. If you have a legit reason, like how you guys are saying, look at what happened to this lady who was in the boxing ring. She got her head cracked. Look at what happened over here. Those are legit reasons that you have for your child and why they shouldn't run. Now, if you go in there talking about, oh, just because they a man and doing this and doing that, like, that's kind of transphobic. If you come in there with the right type of knowledge and you're speaking right, I don't think that it will be seen as you're being transphobic. You're just being concerned about your daughter getting her scholarship, because
Yeah,
that's what it all comes down to.
yeah, I know. That's why I'm thinking a lot of people today, because I'm pretty sure a lot of the people at the school feel like it's unfair. But if something like this, well, it hit the news already. If they came out and said, okay, no, like no transphobic, no trans women, no trans men, then automatically society is gonna see it as, oh, transphobic, because we live in such a sensitive era. That's why I think there aren't any rules yet, because a lot, like I said before, a lot of them probably say this ain't right, but you know, it
All
is
right,
what
so
it
I'm
is.
gonna have my trans friend speak. She says she's about to get us together, child.
Okay.
Hello, how y'all doing?
Good
I just
morning.
need to address a few things. Number one, once a person is transitioning and they are on hormones, what defines a man is a fully functioning penis and the ability to ejaculate and come. Once you are on hormones for an extended period of time, you are no longer able to produce sperm or even get hard, because you are medically
No.
um, transitioning to a woman. You no longer develop or
But how
produce
do we know that this person
testosterone.
is even taking pills? Just you don't have
Now,
to. You don't have to
now if you
take
gonna let me
pills to
talk,
be
right,
trans.
exactly. But this is how we
I was gonna
resolve
ask that too,
this.
Nick.
This is how we resolve this
Somebody's
issue.
thing is clicking. So, uh, mute your mic if you're not speaking. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, this is how you resolve that issue so that there won't be any segregation or separatism with the trans people and the cisgender women. As you are taking hormones, your testosterone level drops completely if you are taking them consistently, and they match that of what a cisgender woman's hormonal hormonal balance is. So let's say that a cisgender's a range is 35. Let's say that a cisgendered woman, her estrogen levels is a 35. Let's say it's a 35. If the person that is transitioning is consistently taking their medications and their level is at 35, they are the same as a regular cisgender female. Other than the fact, because their penis is not working, it does not produce
But
testosterone.
they still got legs and arms and strength.
But understand that once you this is what makes a man. What makes a man is testosterone. That's what makes a man strong. That is what makes a man sexually aroused, all of those things. That's what makes a man. If you are no longer producing those things, then what are you? So, what I would suggest is that if the transgender people want to participate in those types of sports, they need to, before the game or whatever that they're going to do, or the meat or whatever, they need to be tested and see if they are within that range of what a cisgender female is supposed to be. If their hormone level, if they take their blood test or whatever, and their hormone level is the same as a cisgender woman, then what is the difference?
So
If
you're
they're
saying that if you have these pills, that you're no longer going to be faster, you're no longer going to have your muscles are not you're not going to have the
That
same
was what
muscle
I was gonna
memory,
ask.
you're not going to have the
you're
same
not going,
strength.
you're not
Your
going
body,
to.
your body and your genetic makeup of even your body, the how big your feet are, how strong you are. Like from taking pills, you're still going to be strong. You're still gonna be
No,
fat.
because that's not true. Because what hormones do when you are on a
Can I
consistent,
ask?
when you're on a, okay, let me say this and then I'll answer your question. When you are consistently on your hormones and you're taking your medication, um, all of those muscle, you get muscle density, all of that stuff changes your body. If we can agree that being on the medication alone can put breast on a transgender person and change their bodies, then we also have to understand that it changes your muscle mass and your strength. You no longer have big, strong arms or no longer mannish because you are not producing testosterone.
Okay,
Testosterone,
so I wanna pause you real quick. So how so this person right here was competing in the men's sport 3 years ago. So within 3 years, what is the time span that you all of a sudden are no longer having a male pheno like genetic type and now you're having this woman matched genetic type?
that is a great question. The that is why before the trans person would be able to compete in those or even join, they would have to probably have been on hormones for at least a year before or getting tested periodically to see what their level is. If they're, and I don't know what the cisgender level number is, but they can adjust their hormones because they're under doctor prescribed hormones. So they can adjust their hormones to meet that, and they would have to stay on them. If they miss a day or whatever, it will show up when they go and take their test if they're not within the range of a cisgender female. So I
So
think
is
that
there a study that happens that as your levels go down, you get weaker and slower? Is that proven that you get that you take the pills, your hormones go down and you get weaker and you get slower?
yes, that can be proven. That can be proven that your body becomes more. That's why it's called a transition, and that's why you have such drastic changes on your appearance, your look, and everything because you are no longer producing the testosterone because you're on these medications that changes your genetic structure into that of a cisgender female.
Okay. You did.
So
What do you think?
I would say that, like I would say that if the trans person wants to compete in these types of games, that they would one have to have a doctor's thing showing that they are taking their medication and what their levels are. So that way y'all won't have to argue or feel like they're invading your
But what's
space.
wrong with just having a space for trans?
I think what the issue is with having a space just for trans is that there is not enough, I guess, at this time to create their own track team. It's not enough to create their own tennis league or whatever. Now, I am open to thinking that I don't know. I don't I think it's all about knowing what the numbers are. If the cisgenders person's range is 35 and you're 37, then you're not there yet and you can't compete. And you have to continue to take your hormones and everything until you get to 35 or under. Like you guys
Hey,
don't
Nick.
understand that when you're on a medically taking medications to change your body, your penis no longer works at all. It does not get hard. You don't even produce cum. You can't even satisfy yourself. It's dead. It's basically dead. And it's just like an appendage that's just there. It's only there to pee. You can't do anything else with it. So that's where I think a lot of y'all get confused is y'all think, well, they are still men and they are still functioning as men.
Hello.
You don't even smell the same as a man once you are on hormones. You don't
Hey,
even
Nick.
smell
Can
like a man.
can I say
But
something real quick?
yes, please.
Um,
Hey, Nick.
do you who's that?
Wait a minute, you did. You could go next after who's speaking.
It's Nita.
Go ahead, Nia.
Okay. I get what you're saying, But do you think it's like, I feel like as far as the transgender, transsexual community, I feel like it's too much of a gray area. It's like, I feel like it's a lot of opposing viewpoints because you see how you pointed out like genitalia and testosterone. You can speak to someone else and it's like genitalia doesn't matter. Levels, estrogen, testosterone levels don't matter. So I feel like it's too much of a new like ideology, and a lot of us don't understand. And when we try to understand, it's like pushback and it's different answers, it's different questions. As soon as we ask a question, it's seen as disrespectful. And it's just like, you have to understand, we've been thinking this way for years, years. And when you, to us, well, not to me, but to some people, it seems like it's not based in logic and more so off of feeling. Like right now, I could feel like I'm white. I can bleach my skin white. I can get blonde hair. And if I go outside and say I'm white, they're gonna look at me crazy. So it's like, we're trying to understand and we're trying to put you guys in a space to where we're not trying to offend you. But when we see people like the MMA fighter that we keep bringing up, when we see someone's skull get cracked and then you try to hold someone accountable, it's like, oh well, she's not a man or a girl. You get what I'm saying? And we're not trying to be rude, but it's like, that's just how we think. Well, that's how I think.
Okay, I'm not familiar with the. I heard y'all talking about the trans person that head was cracked. Was that a female transitioning into a male, or was that or what was it? What was the situation? I don't quite know it.
It was a male transitioning into a woman.
A male transitioning into a woman.
And then he
I guess
fought a natural born woman in a boxing or in an MMA fight, and her skull got cracked. And she suffered a lot of physical damage because of how much stronger he was against her.
Okay, now see, this is where what I brought up initially is in play. Had they tested the trans person to see if they were at the hormone level of that of a cisgender female, then that probably would have been different. If that, since they don't have any rules on testing and finding what their hormone range is, I can see that as being a disadvantage to the cisgender woman. Because
So do
as
you, oh, I'm sorry.
so I can see that as being a disadvantage to her. Um, but if the one that was transitioning into a woman, if they stopped taking their hormones before they started the match or started or while they were training, and that's how it goes. If you stop taking the medication, then those testosterone levels start to come back. You start producing testosterone and all of that, and those are what make you strong. Those
okay,
are
So do
what.
you,
Mark, what about why do you think there was a reason that they changed men and women to be on their own in the first place?
Okay, say that one more time.
Why do you think it was that they put men's NBA and women's NBA in the first place?
Well, because I think that before that, the whole concept of being a transgender person, even though it was always there are younger people who are coming out as trans, and there wasn't really, and they were just, in hiding. And now we're living in a society in a time period where people are no longer feeling ashamed or feeling that they need to hide these things. And some people are addressing them as early as birth, who
No, I'm saying
identify.
the reason that men have men leagues and women have women leagues, and it's not a co-ed thing.
Well, that's
You
the
know
old
why
way.
Nikki can't
Just like they used to have that was the old way of thinking, I guess, because just like they used to have white water fountains and black water fountains. There's
No, that's not
that
true,
was
man.
just the way that's just the way it's been. I think that now that the world is dealing more with people who are not only transgender, people who are non-binary, there's all kind of people that live in the world that want to participate in different types of sports, but they,
Nick,
are just.
can I ask the question? Hey Nick, hey Nick.
Yeah,
Wait,
I was
let
gonna ask
you
Can
that
I
did
question
go
go
next
and
now,
then
too.
Nick?
Jay.
Sorry, so go ahead.
Wait, let you did go and then Jay, you could go.
Okay.
Thank you, Nick. I like to say to the trans guy, like I never seen the trans on TV that was honest. Y'all need y'all own Olympics, y'all own sports. There's no way a male should be playing against a female. First of all that pill stuff you taking, that changed the fact that you was born a man. You have muscles, like Nick said, your arms, your legs. Like people like y'all make excuses for everything just to force y'all life on us. Like, it's no way a male should be competing with a female. But y'all
But
gonna
if
make it
you are,
okay, and then you're gonna have transsexual gays like people wrong for being transphobic. When there's nothing wrong with being transphobic. Look what y'all doing. Y'all forcing stuff on people.
Well, I would say it is something wrong with being transphobic. I mean, I wouldn't want to
Why?
create a
so
space to spew
so with
hate.
me even
But what
explaining
Can I
to
is
ask you?
you,
transphobic? But
Can I
what
ask you
is
a
What's wrong with being
transphobic?
transphobic?
What is
Nick?
transphobic?
Because that word transphobia or transphobic gets thrown
Yeah,
around
what's
a
wrong with
lot
it?
Yeah,
from the trans community or from the gay community.
it was
What
created
is
by white
transphobic?
supremacists, of
Because
course.
just because you don't agree with somebody's lifestyle or somebody's way of living doesn't mean that you don't respect them in their space. So what is considered transphobic?
What is it?
Thank
No, I'm just saying coming from
you. Right, right.
a hateful place. You
How,
can disagree all day, and there's nothing wrong with that. Because
right.
I myself disagree with the idea of someone who is trans competing against women. I disagree, but I just don't want it to be an attack in a hateful space. But I just want us to have respectful dialogue. That's just all I'm saying.
Most
well,
definitely. I
but
do
see,
business.
this is where we have the issue where he's talk about what
Yeah.
he's talking about.
See,
He
right
keeps
is right,
calling them,
Nick.
he keeps calling them men
That
and such. But if I
they
if
was
I'm
born
if
man.
you take biology class and you actually paid
That's
attention and you understood science and biology, that's why I made the comment and the point about that is the science and biology. Even though it's medically induced, it is still you're still
so you're a
not
biologist.
strong. I understand science and biology.
But
Yes.
but but you still got man muscles though. That's the thing about it.
Brother.
How
Making
You
excuses.
still got man strength. You saying all this stuff
okay,
to
so if
deflect.
you don't do you understand, okay, so you're a man, right?
Yeah, I'm a
And you're
man. You was born a man.
and
And I
and you
respect you being a woman now, but at the same time, you still got man strength. You shouldn't be fighting no women. You shouldn't be in a bathroom with a woman. You should be in a bathroom with a little girl. That's not cool. It was just a situation where the transgender was trying some weird stuff with a little girl. And dude went to jail for beating up that transgender. You know what I mean?
And
Because
there
the
and there
dude
was
was
a
acting funny. You can
situation
look
of a
this up. So man, y'all should not be in a place with a woman when it comes to bathrooms, sports, and stuff like that. Y'all shouldn't even be fighting women. That's not cool, man. That's
and
not
there are
cool.
spaces where transgenders are being transitioned to female prisons
Charged
and
with a hate
raping the
crime too.
female inmates
And you,
because they identify as women, and
those
so
are
they
all
are
stories.
now
Y'all had
being
no proof
trans.
of any of that
you,
that you
Oh, it
saying.
is.
That is all
No, it
made
is.
up
Google
stuff.
it. If
look
you
it
Within
up.
look
the
it up,
history
it's
of
you can
transgender
Google it.
Nick,
people,
just can you? I want to
Right,
ask one
right.
question.
Look it up. It's a
there has not been any cases in which a transgender
Hey
person went
Nick.
into the bathroom and
Hey
tried
Nick.
to assault or do anything to
Well, let's get
anybody.
back
So
on
don't
Yes, he
topic.
start that
did.
Let's
narrative.
Yes,
get
he
back.
did. The
Let's
black
get
dude
back.
went to jail. It was a white transgender
Hey bro.
that was saying some weird
Everybody
stuff to
on
a
here.
little girl.
Everybody
The
on here.
father didn't like him when he went up in there. He had
Hey
to whoop
bro.
him up.
Hey
Okay,
bro.
let's get back on
Look it
topic.
up.
Miss Vicky, you
Mine
haven't
is on
spoke. What did
topic.
you want
To
to
the
say?
chat.
Yeah, I
All
just have one
transsexuals want to make
question.
excuses every time.
Wait a minute, Miss Vicky, go ahead.
Okay,
Can
I
you
just
hear
wanted
me?
to know,
Can you
Mark.
hear me?
Yeah, wait a minute. Whoever's speaking, go ahead, Miss Vicky.
Okay, I didn't know
I
it because
just
I'm
wanted to ask
driving. I'm
Mark.
sorry if it's loud. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So your transgender friend, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name. I didn't want to,
Mark,
say call
Mark,
Mark. Hi, Mark. Okay, so you explain that, Mark. Okay, so when the transgender woman in this case or transgender woman is taking hormones to become female, and the testosterone is going down. And you said, what does that make her? Once she is at that level, that makes her, you said it makes her a woman, right?
That means that her hormone levels are that
Hello?
of a cisgender woman.
Right, but
Do
that
you hear
makes
me?
her a transgender. Yes, yes. That
Yeah,
makes
she's
her
still
a
transgender, but
transgender woman.
a
Yes, that
transgender
makes her
woman who
different.
now is at the level of a cisgender woman.
But they still got man muscles.
Right. I don't use cisgender. To me, it's like, the fish
I'm
thing.
just using
But
the
yeah,
words
so
that
that make
the scientific and biological words that people are not used
yeah,
to hearing.
which is I know, but that's still a new word. I
Starfish.
looked it up. It came out like in the 80s. But anyway,
Man, thank you,
that
ma'am.
makes
Ain't
her
no
a
such thing as shit.
that makes her a transgender woman, which is still different than a natural born woman.
True.
And so I just think that I don't think they need to have separate, like it shouldn't be the trans Olympics or something. I think they should still take part in the regular Olympics and regular track meets, but it
Right.
still should be their own race. Like, so it'll be the
And that's the
female, it'll be
same as
the
having
male,
the trans space.
then
That's what we're saying.
You said
then it
what?
would be the trans race.
So
But they're not
what
the
you would
same. It
like to
doesn't
see,
matter.
so what you would like to
Ain't
see
nothing
is
wrong
that
with that. They need they
if they're a track race, if there's a track
right.
race and the transgender person comes in first, then you say, okay, you won number one in the transgender part of our session. And then if the cisgender woman comes in behind her, then she'll be considered as first and the genetic female part of the race. Is that how
No,
is that
they
what
shouldn't
you're
even. No, I'm saying they should still. You know how they have the men, the men races and
But
the
that's what we're
woman
saying,
races.
Vicky.
Then it should. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then it should be that way. It shouldn't be the exact same race, separate races,
It
but yeah, different categories.
it becomes
okay?
confusing when you try to match man born man towards women because genetically men are just stronger than women. Let's be real. Muscles and
But
all.
you're not considering the fact that these people who are transitioning are on medications and taking hormones
I
that
understand that.
change their body
I, under,
into that
Yeah.
of what
But
I
to
Mark,
match
understand
that
that.
of a
I
cisgender
understand
It
that. But
person.
y'all
changes their
still
So it's
got
body,
not
but
but
Mark,
fair
it's still
to
a
majority
constantly
trans.
of
keep
them,
It's still a
referring
trans
them as
person.
men.
but the
I
majority of
understand
them,
that, but y'all
how
still got man strength. A female
the
just got her head
I
cracked
just
open
explained to you,
in
brother,
UFC.
that we don't have the same. It's not the
Yeah,
same.
that's
Okay,
what
all
you
right. I want
saying,
to
but I'm
pause
talking about
everybody. I
genetics.
want to
I'm talking genetics.
pause. Everybody, pause. Um, I want to create a space where more people in the audience can come on. I do want not just Mark, but other people who are trans to come have a dialogue as well. So I'm gonna run through everyone who has given an opinion. Tommy, I don't think I've heard from you. What are your thoughts?
I just want to say that the reason why there isn't any rules in place is because it's all about the narrative. It's all about the image. About like, if let's just say if there's a trans group, that's a whole nother topic within itself. Because let's just say if a trans woman wants to compete and she says that, oh, she identifies as a woman, why can I compete with the woman, with the females? You understand what I'm saying? And then they come with the assumption that, oh, they're just transphobic, they're just trying to put us away in a separate group and stuff like that. You understand what I'm saying?
No,
I
can you?
do.
I don't get what you're
Really,
saying.
you
Say
lost
it
me, y'all
again.
having. But what I'm gonna say is this: see, with y'all,
Zay, if you don't be quiet, I'm gonna boot you. I'm giving Tommy a chance to speak. Tommy,
No, it's
say what you're saying
the
again, because
reason
I
why
think I missed something.
no, the reason why they don't want to put these rules in place is because it's a headache, because they don't want to have the narrative that, oh, it's that they're transphobic. They don't want to have no narrative like that. That's why there's no rules in place, because uh they don't want to accept the criticism of the trans community. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay, so you feel like it's because of they're afraid of backlash. The reason why.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think that just what we discussed right here with Miss Vicky, I think that that may be able to resolve everything if since this is such a sensitive topic, and that since it makes people feel a certain kind of way, maybe they should add to these different sports where what we were just saying, how if it's a trans person competing, then and they win the first, then they're first in the trans part of the competition. And if the cisgender female wins, then she's number one in the um, cisgender part. Then we won't have any problems at all. Then you won't be able to say that they're being treated any differently or they're still a man. But I would still recommend that they would have to have their hormone level. Well, if they're not actually competing with the cisgender women anymore, if we do it that way, so they wouldn't have to worry about their hormone levels being at 35, because there are people who are transgendered who do not want to take hormones or who are not on hormones at all and don't want that part of their body to not work or anything anymore. So I can see that as a reasonable compromise where everybody is satisfied and happy. So then I think this is the route in which we should address it in these competitions and things. I think that's
All
the
right.
easy way.
Nunu Sky, did you want to add something? Because I'm trying to create space for other people to come in and speak. So go ahead and say if whatever you want to add real quick.
Just that what he's saying about the hormones and things. In high school, I mentioned Peaches. Peaches did go through all of that. She had her paperwork. They drilled her extensively, kept up with her time, watched what she ate, like dealing with this guy who punched this lady in the head, I guess, and broke her skull. So if he broke her skull and he was taking the hormones, what does that mean? Like, did he miss some shots? Did they not make sure he was taking them? Did he
That's
cheat
the
in the
part
fight?
exactly.
Like, what does that mean? So if he's taking his shots and he still cracked this lady head, does that mean it's not working? Like, I don't understand how that could be, because you're stressing the fact that medication, medication, medication. But if he was really taking his medication, like you say he should have been, then her head shouldn't have been cracked. If the
Right.
medication is supposed to work and bring her level, will bring their levels down to our levels. Because I understand what you're saying about the
Hey,
35 and all that stuff. But my question is, like, if he did crack this lady's
Well,
skull, does that mean
those
that the
rules aren't in
research
place
don't
in
work?
any of the sports. None those rules are not in place in any sports in which trans people are involved in. That's where we need to, as people, to make it a safe and respectful area for everybody. We need to encourage that those things be in place as rules in
That's what
order
I
to
was trying to tell
compete
him
in those
earlier,
things.
because there was my coach was going to lose his job because he did not want to let this girl on our team, but there was nothing that says she couldn't run for our team. So the principal was basically like, you got to let her run or I got to fire you, because there's nothing that says they can't join and run. So it's
Well,
like,
we've got the answer. We've just created the answer to solve all these problems right here on the Nick at Night Show. That's how we do it.
I,
We did
that's all
that's
I
how
got
we
to
do
say,
it.
Nick. I'm going to keep
So
listening from the background.
Okay,
so if
thank you.
so,
Taniqua.
Hi. I was gonna say I kind of agree with Mark. Is your name Mark?
yes,
Okay. I kind of agree with him because I do have a cousin that's transgender. Even though he didn't play sports, the with the whole biology thing, it kind of makes sense if you take your medication um periodically every day. Your testosterone is coming down.
testosterone.
Yeah, I can't say it. Sorry,
It's
it's
okay,
going
baby.
down. So it's just it's a lot that goes into that because it just goes all around because I was in school with this transgender and they made us because with the captain gowns and stuff, he wanted to have a women's captain gown and the mother got mad about
Let's keep it
that.
on topic.
Thank
Okay. Yeah, they got mad about that, and
But let's keep
so
it on topic about the sports because that kind of is something totally different.
yeah. But I agree with Mark on the whole with the medication.
Just like if you take medication and you're HIV positive, you can take your, as long as you're taking your medication correctly, you can no longer pass the virus. So these
Yeah.
medications that
Still,
people are
but you
taking,
still got the virus. That's kind of like
yes,
the
but you
same
still
with
can't
this. Like
pass
you
it.
still have male like makeup, especially somebody did point out like once after puberty, you go through puberty, your muscle mass and everything is permanently changed. So
Yeah.
I
Your
mean,
muscle mass and all of that change. It is what it is when you go through puberty. But once you start taking the medication and you're taking it consistently, all of your muscle mass changes. Now that doesn't mean that if you have, if you're on the medication that you're not working out, you know, a female, if we've seen female bodybuilders that are not on anything and you're quick to, some people are quick to say, oh, that looks like a man
Mm-hmm.
because they have been working out. But if you as a genetic female chose to work out harder, then
oh,
you would
so now
produce.
the women gotta work 10 times as hard.
No, I'm
Exactly.
not saying that. I'm just
It's
saying that
not
cause
fair.
y'all keep bringing up muscles and and
Because
and, and
that's a
strength.
Yeah,
fact,
because
though.
I'm
Muscles and
saying
stuff are
naturally
built.
without working out. Naturally without working out, like you don't have to go a day in a gym. I don't have to go a day in a gym. Somebody who's born a man is going to be stronger than me. Like
Stronger.
neither one of us have to even enter a gym, you know. But go ahead, dropping
Yeah.
gyms.
Okay. Yeah, it's not fair to me. I think that the transgender community should create their own space in sports and allow the natural born men to play their sports and the natural born women to have their sport. That is a space for that reason. I think it tips the balance when you have someone that, whether we want to say you taking medicine or not, you're still genetically stronger.
No, you're not.
Yes, you are
You're not. I'm sorry,
genetically
ma'am. You're wrong.
stronger.
you.
You don't
You're
have
not.
to agree, but this, I mean, this, we're talking nature and science, but
Right. Just if you
no,
understand the science and biology, you would understand that taking the medication does not make you stronger just
does it
because you
make
were
you
born
weaker though? But does it make you weaker?
weak
Is that
as
what you're
fuck.
saying?
Weak as fuck.
Your
Men are
maybe your
only
immune
strong because
system,
they
but it
have
doesn't weaken your
testosterone.
muscles. I don't believe that it weakens your muscles
You
or your
so you
bone
haven't seen
mass or any of
transgender
that.
people who are not muscular?
I've seen both, but I feel like you
Okay,
comparing
so you've
just
seen both. So
Race.
then how can you make that determination? How can you make that determination if you've seen it in both?
how can I make a determination that a man is stronger than a woman?
If a person who is transitioning into a female and is on medication, how can you say that that's the same?
Because the female.
It's not.
Um, I'm not saying it's the same. What I'm saying is that no matter whether the man is on medication or not, he's still stronger than a woman that's been working out.
All right, let's
I
go to
think that is a. I
Wait
think
a
that
minute.
is
Wait a minute, Mark. Wait a minute. Let's go to
Hi.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The exact question because I don't want to get off topic.
All right, so this conversation was brought about because CC Teffer has been competing against women in track. So it says a man who ran track for 3 years as a man can change himself into a transgender woman to compete with women and win the 2019 Women's Indoor Track and Field Championship. And so my question was, should it be fair for trans women to compete against natural born women in sport?
Okay. My take on it is this. I can see if the person, because I'm just going by every individual. My thing is, I think the Olympics, for one, is just, full of loopholes and crap, but that's just my opinion. But if he was already, or well, she now was already then competing as a man for however many years, no, I don't think that's right. I really don't think that's right. Because I'm pretty sure some of the women he ran up against, well, she now, excuse me, ran up against have competed, maybe a time or two before, whatever the case may be. And yeah, I don't think that's right at all. No.
But you have to
But it's
understand and
all
put
but
it
it's all depending on the individuals. And if everybody in the Olympics is still going for it, I say let them have it. Because just because somebody's in the Olympics doesn't mean they're the best in the world. Like, I'm just saying. That's how
All
I
right,
feel
let's
about it.
go to Paris Morgan.
Yeah, she actually said something that I was kind of thinking, like, I think they should like create a space where all can compete. So opposed to it being for transgenders only, I think it should be a space where the men who think they're the best and the women that think they're the best can go, because oddly enough, as we always talk about this, like it don't ever seem to be conversations of trans men in like the sports area. It's always the trans women. So I don't know. I think it's all kind of like, I don't know. It's like there's truth to both things. Like, of course, the estrogen is going to weaken you, and of course, there's truth to their men are stronger than women. Hence the reason there's a men's side and a women's side. But I think with this new space of just this transgender stuff, like it should just be a league for all. You know what I'm saying? So if you think you're the best, come up here and compete against the best, regardless if they're
But
male,
the whole purpose of
female.
being in the Olympics is you're competing to be the best. Like, because the Olympics is the best of the best. Like, when you go to the Olympics, that is the best of the best. So, I mean,
Right, but I'm saying like
I
as
don't
far as like
really
the
know.
preliminary competitions and stuff, like as you're doing your floor routine, you're going against all women. As you're doing your, your male, like is male,
So you
and
saying it
then
should be like All-Star League, like how they have the NBA All-Star League. You're
basically
okay, so that's still a separate thing.
it's separate, but it's inclusive. So therefore, if you're cisgender male or woman, you can decide: do I want to go compete? It's coming up into it like in an all-star league where it's versus everybody, or do I want to separate myself and compete with
Because
only
even in
women?
the All-Star League, they have All-Star League for men and All-Star League for women.
But yeah, but what I'm
So
saying is something that would you have the choice to compete against men and women, opposed to now you have to only compete against a female if you're a female. Does that make sense?
But you
kind of.
know
All right,
what
I
is
want to hear from. Wait a
Hello?
minute.
let me
Wait a
say
minute.
this. What is so awkward is that we're talking about physical sports and such and such. If it was a transgender person and they had a math competition, would it bother you if it was if the transgender person won the math competition
Of course
even if
not.
they were,
No,
It's
that's
of course it's
totally
Oh,
not the
come
different.
on,
Not
same.
man.
That's
physical.
why
so
it
It's
for
doesn't.
not
you
physical.
guys it's
It's
Can,
not
about
the
can I
their
speak
same.
real
body.
quick?
Hello?
But that wouldn't make any sense because a transgender is not taking medication to figure out a math question. So
Hello?
Yeah.
Thank you.
that doesn't
Well,
make
no,
any
Nick,
I'm
sense.
saying
Like, so
y'all
that's no
talking about
comparison.
creating these spaces and
all
where
right,
they
Yeah,
Nick.
but
can
that's not.
and
But
cannot. You guys are your thing is about them doing physical sports
But why
activity.
wouldn't the
Exactly.
LBGT community want their own
Hello?
space?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't you want your own space? Why wouldn't you want
Well,
your own lane for this?
I think
Exactly.
that what we resolved or what we discussed earlier in allowing them to compete with those genders that they identify with, and just that if they win or whatever, they are the winner for the transgender portion of the competition, and that the other gender is the winner of that gender of that
All right, so
competition.
let me go to
So
Sean.
that's how we resolve this, and we won't
But
have to continue
but
saying this person is
Hello?
more stronger than the other
Hello.
person, and everybody is included and everybody is happy, and no one has to feel a certain kind of way. That's the
I,
only way we can address this, because
I,
otherwise
All
we're
right,
just
wait,
going in
Mark. Wait,
circles.
Mark. Wait, Mark. Wait, Mark. Sean.
Hello. Good morning to everybody. Um, it's a very sensitive subject. I kind of
try to stay away from it because I'm not influenced by it in any kind of way. But when the conversation comes up, I just hate the fact that because people are deciding to do something certain with their life, that we have to accept with it. That's your own personal decision. It's only a handful of people throughout the history who have done that versus the amount of people who are alive and been born. So are people supposed to change their natural way of thinking because somebody else is deciding to live their life this way? There's a reason why physical sports are broken down between women and men. I don't care what pill you take. The fact that you have to take a pill means that you are not equal to the people that you're competing with. The fact that you have to keep taking this pill means that there's something biologically that you are not born with that you are trying to change. I don't have to, a naked woman looking at a naked man, I don't need help determining what is what. But when it comes to sports, there's no factual information that a pill is making this man be a woman. When I look at the physical attributes of this man who is deciding to now be a woman, it doesn't matter what pill you're taking. This man is physically structured totally different than those soft, rounded women who compete against other women. I don't even know what to say as far as should it be 3 competitions. I guess that is the only way it can be some kind of parity, but it's totally unfair for a person who's been working out, living as a man, decides to one morning wake up to change his life to be a woman, and now he wants all the things that are afforded to women. That just doesn't make sense to me, and it's unfair actually to women. That's my opinion.
Mark can respond.
Well, I understand where you're coming from. But I think that right now what we're talking about is not including the change that we've spoke about today, as far as making it comfortable for everybody to compete. If you feel that way, I don't think that it's an issue of people trying to make for the transgender person. It's not about making someone accept you or anything, because we all have our own personal things to deal with. I think it's more or less just trying to live a normal life. Now, of course, people aren't going to agree with it and people are going to have their feelings about it. But as of right now, with the way that the rules are for sports and everything, I think we need to offer that solution so that everybody feels included. Because we wouldn't have this conversation if they had those types of rules in place.
All right, I'm gonna go to legit. Legit.
There are no rules right now that have been written out
Wait,
to
Mark. Wait, Mark.
include.
Go ahead, legit. You got a couple more seconds. All right. Yania? Yania?
Hi, Nick.
Hi.
I like watching your show, and this topic is really passionate to me because, at the end of it, women are adult human females and girls are infant human females. At the end of the day, this isn't about trans athletes being able to compete. It's about women and girls being able to compete, because if I'm entering a competition as a young female athlete, I would like the opportunity to win. If I'm having to compete with biological males, you've taken away the incentive for me to even join the sports in the first place. We know that on average, men are 33% stronger than women, and that consistent yearly taking of estrogen only reduces that strength by about 6%. So even a trans athlete is still about 27 to 30% stronger than the average woman. So it's not taking away your muscle strength. Not only that, muscle strength is not the only athletic advantage that males have over females. Men have bigger hearts, which helps get blood around their body faster, which helps them to oxygenate their body faster. They have higher hemoglobin levels, which oxygenates their body faster. They have a different skeletal structure, which makes them faster at running and better able at running. They have faster twitch muscles, so men are able to exert more force pressure quicker than a woman. So we saw that boxing match of that MMA fighter who's a trans woman, and he broke the woman's skull. Now, her skull has never been broken by a woman before. Women don't break each other's skull in MMA fights. The reason why a man was able to break a woman's skull in an MMA fight is because not only can a man exert more force in a punch, but a woman's skull bones are thinner than male skull bones. At the end of the day, and the thing is, do you know what's really upsetting as a woman is that we shouldn't need to explain all of these things that men are stronger than us. What we should actually have to say is that female sports are to ascertain who is the fastest, strongest, and most competent of the females. We should have our own sports because it's for us. Women do not consent to compete with males, and we do not consent to the redefining of what a girl and a woman is. And anyone who is so confident that a trans woman is a woman, could you please define the word woman? Or if you think that a trans woman is a girl, define the word girl. That's what I had to say.
All right,
Girl,
Mark.
you better preach.
Or I'm gonna go to
Thank
D.
you.
Go ahead, D.
Hello, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm hearing all this talk about this medication, and that's good and great, and how the medication is supposed to make everything equal. My question is, even with that medication, how are they determining whether it's working? Are they doing bone density tests on a weekly basis or before these competitions are occurring? Are they checking muscle mass? Like what? I'm just trying to figure out how are they measuring if this medicine is even effective. Um, so I keep hearing
Your question
medicine.
is for Mark or just in general?
Well, I'm just saying, like everyone keeps saying, oh, if they take, this medicine and that puts them on the same playing field as a woman. But okay, great, yeah, you're taking the medicine, but who's actually checking to make sure that that medication is effective? Like, how are you measuring that medication is making, as a man, making you on the same playing field as a woman? Like, I'm sure they're not checking that on a daily or weekly basis to say, oh, okay, well, a woman's bone density is this. After you've taken your medication, your bone density now, matches that, or your muscle mass is now that of a woman's. Like, how often is that even being checked?
All
That
right.
So,
can I answer that?
yes,
Go ahead.
please.
Okay. That is an excellent and a great question. They're usually done through blood tests or urine tests. And when you are on hormones, they give you the range in which of what is a closest to a woman. You find what the range is. And you're right, they are not doing these now. In this time period right now, and trying to include trans people into these spaces,
Mm-hmm.
those rules need to be put into place.
Right. And I'm sorry, I just come from a science background. Like I've taken a ton of science classes for the
Right.
medical
So you
field.
so you do understand. So as a person who understands biology and science, you do understand that being on these medications physically change you.
Yeah, they do
Hello, can I
physically.
just respond to that as well? Sorry, that yes, taking testosterone blockers estrogen does slightly decrease a male's muscle mass, but it does not decrease it to where
Where do
they're
you get your
on par
information
with
at,
the average
ma'am?
woman. Guardian Sport. Guardian Sport, the Guardian, the newspaper, they have a sport version and they literally release an article about
Okay,
transgender
a
athletes.
newspaper is not a scientific
They linked
form
to
of
they
information.
linked to a scientific study. They linked to a scientific study, one. Two, it is not just muscle mass that makes males have an advantage over females. Your body re-regulates your oxygen faster than women's. You have a different pelvic structure that enables you to run faster. You have a different
Ma'am,
shoulder
you're
structure that
mixing.
enables you to throw a ball better.
Bone, yeah, your the
That's one.
bone structure. Yeah.
The
I
bones.
I don't know.
Exactly. And can I just say, and sorry, I just want to say this as well, is that women are not consenting to this. You have not asked every female if we would like to compete with males. We are saying no, and you as a man are telling us that we have to say yes.
I don't think it's right. What I was saying on Facebook. I feel like transgender people should have their own like Olympics, where they can compete with themselves
Exactly.
with somebody in their realm of physique and stuff like that. Because you can take as many hormone blockers as you want. Your makeup is still genetically a man. You'll always
You're
be
wrong.
stronger than a man. You'll always be stronger than
Wrong.
the
The only way
a
that
real
you go
woman, a
back is
natural
if you
born
stop
woman.
taking the medication. The
Also,
only
can I
way
say,
that
can
Yeah,
I,
that
but
can I say,
you'll always
can
be
I,
stronger. You'll always be physically stronger than a natural woman.
Not only will
because
you be
your
physically
genetics make up
stronger,
everything.
no, and can I just say this as well, guys? These tests, yeah, they
Hello?
got these trans women, they got trans women athletes to take these tests. And can we just understand that as a trans woman who's an athlete, you're gonna have an incentive to pretend that you're weaker and slower than you are. You can fake being
Right.
weaker, you can
That
fake being slower,
that's
you
why the
can't fake being
testing
faster,
would
and
be
you can't fake
important and
being
valued.
stronger. At the end of the
That
day,
does
the
not equate.
testosterone levels in a male's body are not the only reason
Testosterone is
why he
what
has
makes you
physical advantage.
strong.
Testosterone levels in the male body is not the only advantages that males have over females.
Right.
They did an experiment, and 14-year-old boys can beat female athletes' world records. 14-year-old boys. There's an undoubtedly difference between females, and you get to ignore that because you're a male. Females know that we're going to lose our sports scholarships, our championships, and our trophies to males. You don't care about that.
Can I say something?
Go ahead,
Go
Jay.
ahead.
So what you basically saying? Because y'all talk about competing in the world's best Olympics. So instead of competing against the best in boxing and UFC, you want to compete against another woman to prove your strength. And by the way, testosterone don't ain't the thing to make you
Hello?
strong. It's the mass and the strength of your body. But go on, can you answer that? So
Right.
you want to compete against men or women? I mean, you want to compete against women instead of men when it comes to physical boxing and UFC. You think you'd be better at proving yourself there? It's proving you the best. That's what you want.
Exactly. And I feel like until they're able to actually measure that your bones are the same as a woman after taking these hormones and your muscle mass is the same as a woman, that is the only way you're going to be able to go in and compete with a woman. Until they can do that,
Especially
it
after
shouldn't be
3 years.
happening.
Well, that's what we're I think that we're proposing be done. Make these spaces more inclusive so that there won't be particularly a competition of a cisgender woman and a transgender woman competing. It won't even be an issue because if we put those guidelines in place, because it can take up to a year or so before your hormone levels get down to that of a cisgender woman. It takes time. It's not something that happens in 2 weeks. It takes time. And I think that if the person is that sincere about it, they'll take that year or two to get their levels down to that in which they are able to compete.
All
And
right.
if
So
that's
Can
the
I?
case,
wait
and,
a
and
minute.
the young lady that keeps saying things, you have no scientific proof, and you don't even understand gender studies or what goes along with the science that goes along with transitioning your body. You're just reciting some stuff you read out of a newspaper. That's not a scientific journal.
Linked to a scientific journal. Listen, can I
What
tell
is
you
the
something?
name of it? What
Can
what is the
I
name of it?
respond? Let me
What is
respond
the
to what you
name
said.
of that?
Let me respond to what you said. First of all, there are multiple studies which actually have spoken about this. Multiple studies. At
I
the end of the
cannot
day,
stand when people say
listen
stuff
to
and they
me.
don't be
Let me
specific. You
respond to
just
you.
think
Let
that's
me
a
respond.
generalized
There are
statement. You're making a generalized statement.
Let me
Go ahead.
respond to you. I cannot show you studies right now because we're talking in a video over online. There are multiple studies that show that males retain their strength after years of estrogen dosage. One, two. At the end of the day, women had our sports already.
Again.
If you want to include males, the burden of proof is on you to prove that you guys don't have a physical advantage. Two and three, the inclusion of males in sports, in female sports, is the exclusion of females from their own sports. Go ahead.
It's not an exclusion if they met those types of guidelines and requirements. Even though they haven't been in place yet, I understand where your frustration comes in at because they have not been put in place to let people know what goes on uh, biologically when a person is transitioning. I understand that you don't get that part, but that's just the way the world is now. If we propose and put up these guidelines in order for them to compete, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. And again, when you make generalized statements and say there's studies and studies and you have no proof and you can't call the name of what the study is, then to me, you're just having conversation and you're just talking. It's kind of like, what are you saying? It's like, I
But
can't.
Mark, you
Can,
also haven't given us actual scientific proof either, though, to be fair. Um, You haven't given us scientific
if you
proof
want me to
either.
pull out studies, I can pull up studies if you want me to, but I already
Exactly.
know.
So can I, but I cannot show it to you over here. I don't have the name of them to hand. I would, if Neek wants to do something on her community post where she makes a post and says anybody's got scientific links, I will post under her
I
community
would
post
suggest you do
all the
that.
links, every single link. But the
I
thing
would
is that
suggest that before you
yes,
make a generalized
no,
statement
it's not a
about
generalized statement. At the
it
end of the day,
is.
we
It's a
know males are
generalized
stronger than
statement. For
females
you
on
to tell
average.
me
We know
that a
males are stronger than
person
females
who
on
is
average,
transitioning
and
is only
the difference is
6%,
not just
and then you
testosterone.
throw out
You don't
numbers.
All
care
right.
because
Wait. Both of you guys. All right. So I want to
Hey,
end
can
this
I
right
ask?
at wait a minute. Do you hear? Wait. I want to let Chris talk and D talk. They have not talked. I don't want this to go on for 2 hours. I want to end this very soon. So I want to go to Chris and then I'm gonna go to D.
Oh, okay. No, I'm the one who was talking about, the actual measurements and things like that. So that's really all I needed to, ask. But
Okay,
y'all
I'm gonna
have a
go
good
to
day. Thank you
Chris.
for having me. Okay.
Chris. Chris. Okay, you have to unmute your mic. Okay. So we're going to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So I think we can end the conversation there. I just wanted to spark the dialogue, but I don't want it to turn into like a hateful, combative, environment. Which I'm not saying that that's kind of where we are. I feel like Mark and Yania were having healthy dialogue back and forth. But I just want to kind of end it there. I think that people have said all of their points. And I think we're just beating around the same points over and over and over again at this point. So I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys all for participating in this conversation. I wish that more people of the trans community would have came on as well, but maybe next time. I want to also say that just having these difference of opinion does not mean that you know it's hateful or it's phobic or it's loving you any less or it's anything like that. It's just genetically, biologically, the genetic makeup of men, naturally born men, is different from women. So when you go on a transition, your transition still has you having different genetic makeup. And I feel like these spaces should be reserved for women to compete against natural born women, trans women to compete against trans women, and natural born men to compete against natural born men, and then trans men to compete against trans men. That's just my opinion. It doesn't mean I hate you, doesn't mean I don't love you, doesn't mean I don't support you. It's just I think genetically it's not fair. And I think we can wrap it there.